And that's what's reflected on our handout. It's my 10 must-haves, and each of them have a link to more Google support with more details. So anything that's underlined or gold, that's what it's taking you to. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start by opening up a new tab with Google. I'm going to go to the top right corner to view my Google Apps, and I'm going to open Sheets. My very first must-have are the templates that are available for Google Sheets. You can start with a blank spreadsheet or start with a previous spreadsheet that you've worked on recently. And it gives you a few different templates here, different options, but if you click Template Gallery, it shows you all the different options. I always like starting with a template because it gives you a little bit of design, a bit of formatting just to start with, and you can always edit any of them, and that's the beauty of it. So there are a few education options: attendance, gradebook, assignment tracker. We also have some connected sheet examples, some personal ones, to-do list, calendars, budget, which we all do a lot of those things in our current jobs, so they can definitely be used at work as well. And there are ones called work and project management. So we have invoices, expense reports, project tracking, and even if you wanted to pick one that was called expense report, but you really liked how it looked or was formatted, you could use it for something else, of course. The one that I'm going to open up is the assignment tracker. And even if you're not, you don't work directly with students in a classroom, you don't have to use this for assignments necessarily. You could use it to track projects that you're on or students you need to check in with or checklists that you have for work. So you can use it in a lot of different ways. Another way to access the templates in the file menu, the first option is new, so you can do a new blank spreadsheet, or you can also choose from template gallery. So there's two ways that I've noted on the page to access those. And I'm actually going to keep moving down the file menu. So my second must-have is importing into your sheet. And so a lot of you out there may be Microsoft people, you've only used Excel, you're trying to check out sheets, and so you can actually import Excel, Microsoft Excel into here. So even if it's in your Google Drive, like I have an Excel sheet right here, and I know it's Excel because it has the X right here as the symbol, so that means it's Excel. So you can insert there. You can also pull from your shared drives, any recent documents that you've looked at that are Excel sheets, as well as uploading from your computer. So you can upload your Excel into there. They do work together. The next thing I want to show you is sharing your sheet. If there's something that you need to share with others, whether you're collaborating with them or you just need them to have the information, you can go to File, Share, click Share with Others, and this is very similar to how it is with docs, with slides, even with not with forms. Well, part of it's like forms. Whenever you add different people to collaborate with, and then the access, it's a little different in forms. But if I wanted to choose someone from my team that I wanted to collaborate with this on, I could put their name in, and I can decide if I want them to be an editor, a viewer, or a commenter. So it depends on what their role needs to be. But the really cool thing is you can add an expiration date. So if there's an expiration date for the item that you're collaborating on, it defaults to about a month, but you can change it to a different date, a different time, and they can have their access until then. If that's not necessary, you can just remove it. You don't have to have an expiration date, but it is a newer feature, and I think that's really cool. The other thing to consider, if just a few people need access to it, I would suggest just adding them in here to the document. But if you're sharing something out to a whole group of teachers or your building or your team, you would want to change the access here, because restricted is just going to share with the people who have access up here. You can do anyone Goose Creek where they're logged in with their Goose Creek credentials, or anyone with the link to share them to. The document I shared with you, I had as anyone with the link can be a viewer. That way you can view it, you can make a copy of it, but you're not going to change what I've done. Another way to share, in the top right corner, you can click the share button, and it's a shortcut to the same thing. Next one down the file menu is going to be download. So when you download, you have several different options here, but the ones I want to highlight are Microsoft Excel, PDF, and CSV. So some of these may apply to you. I'm going to download this assignment tracker in Excel and open it up. to show you that you can move back and forth. You can import, you can also download. Now notice it looks a little bit different, right? You may have to change the size of the columns, but the colors stay the same, some of the fonts, and you got to keep your drop-down menu as well. So it's not going to look exactly the same, but it's going to be very similar and a great starting point. So if you're a Microsoft believer, just know you can go back and forth, and it's a good way to get your feet wet with it. Okay, next thing we're going to look at in the file column, we're going to look at move and also add shortcut to drive. So say you want to move this document into a different location. Right now it opened in my drive and it tells you where it's located, and you can actually go straight to there. So I'm going to open up my drive, and here's my assignment tracker. This is where it's saved. So it gives me suggested ideas. These are folders that I've recently been in. There's also starred locations if you have any starred, or all locations. So if you want to move it to a shared drive, I do this a lot. We work on documents separately on our team, and then we move it into our team drive for everyone to have access to once we're finished. So this is a place that I normally go to. But if I wanted to move it into a folder that that is in my own drive, I can do that as well. So I'm going to move this into my Google folder. And say this wasn't a great suggestion, actually, like the third-party API access, I just worked on that for 1 minute today. It's not going to have to do with this, so I'm going to go ahead and tell them, it's really not a helpful suggestion. I don't need to see that. So I'm going to go ahead and move this to my Google folder. So when I go back, it's not in my drive anymore. I moved it here to my Google folder. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up, and here's my assignment tracker. You can also right-click, and then you can go to organize, and you can move from there as well. You can also drag the document. You can drag it over here on the left side, or you could drag it to a folder. So it just depends on where it is and how easy it is to move it to a folder. So there's a few different ways to do that. Now that's moving it. The other option is adding a shortcut. Adding a shortcut's really good when something is shared with you, because in your shared with me folder, you can't organize the documents in there, so you can add a shortcut to your drive. But also right now, I just moved it to my Google folder, but maybe I want a shortcut in my drive. Maybe it's something I'm going to work on a lot. I want easy access. I want to save it here in my Google folder, but I want to be able to see it really easily when I open up my drive. So I know it's a shortcut because it has a little arrow there to the sheet symbol. And so you can keep it there kind of like in your working zone if you work out of your drive. And then when you're finished with it, you can delete the shortcut. And you're not deleting the document. You're not moving the document to the trash. It's just your shortcut options, and we're moving the shortcut to the trash. Okay. Those are my first 5 must-haves. So we basically worked out of, the nuts and bolts, like what can we come in and out of with sheets, how can we move it, how can we share it, those things. And now the second part of my handout is about what we can put in our sheets and how we can organize in our sheets. So I'm actually going to switch over to a different assignment tracker. This is just the template we had, but I have one where I've added a little bit more information and data, and we're going to work with that one now. And I'm also going to show you a different one too, because the first thing I want to talk about inserting into your sheets are images. So I'm going to go to the insert menu, the top, and go down to images. Images always add impact to your sheet, to your doc. It depends on what you're sharing, but this is a little newer feature. It's been around a year, so some people may not know it's possible, but you can insert an image in a cell or insert an image over cells. Whenever you click that, you can choose to upload something from your computer, webcam link, your photos, your Google Drive, or you can even search for an image. I'm going to show you an example. In high school, we have a digital badge leaderboard. Teachers can earn digital badges, and district staff members can too if you ever want to apply for any. But I put images of each badge into these cells. So what I learned from doing that is the size of the height and the width matters, because I made these squares so the picture would look just right because it's a circle. If it's a rectangle, you'll want to change the size to rectangular. So that's just something to consider whenever you're adding an image. But it's kind of newer and it's pretty cool depending on what you're trying to accomplish. The next thing I want to point out is links in your sheet. So if you go to insert, you also are able to link, and you're able to copy and paste, and you can link it to something else. You can link it to a website. It's up to you. What I linked in my digital badge leaderboard is each of the digital badges I linked to Eduphoria for them to sign up. and enroll in it. And I know that some people from curriculum and instruction have also used it in this way, where their teachers are signing up for their PLC day. They have all these different sessions, so you can, right click, and here I would edit the link. I can change it to something else or change my text if I want to, but it's just a really easy way to utilize Sheets, but also link it out to something else. And so in this assignment tracker, I could have a link to the actual assignment if I wanted to. That if I'm working with other teachers or with students, they can just click on it and access the resource. So links are also very helpful. The next one I'm going to show you are drop downs in your sheet. Now, this sheet, we're going to show a few different options for drop downs. The first one I'm going to look at is this column where it has done, in progress, and not started and skipped. And so if you highlight this column and you go to format, and actually I'm just going to do these right here. You can go to format, and you go to insert, and then you go to drop down, and it changes it to a drop down. Now this one already had some different options in there. You can change the range that you have, but one other thing you can do to really customize it is you can change the colors. So if you're done, we can make it green. If it's in progress, yellow, not started, maybe red, skipped it, maybe I'll do blue. And so you can hit done, and then now we have those color options. So I think that has a lot of impact. I've been using that a lot with projects that I've been working on for different parts of it. So if you're doing paperwork or a budget, you can put progress for different parts that you have to do. Now there are also different formats. So I'm going to start another one actually over here, and I'm going to insert a drop down. And so this one's blank. So I'm going to keep this one simple. I'm going to put yes, no. So yes, we'll make green. No, we'll make red. And then I'm going to hit done. So whenever I do that, I have my yes or I have my no. Say later, you're like, you know what? I really want to add another option. That's okay. You can hit drop down. And actually, I'm going to do that for, well, this first one. There's a little pencil, and that's your edit button. So say I want to add maybe in there. Make it yellow. When I hit done, it's going to ask me, there are 15 other drop downs with these properties. Do you want to change them all or just this one? This is a newer feature too, and it's very helpful. So you don't have to physically go and change all of them. And so now they all say maybe as well. So if you already put some for yes, some for no, it doesn't change anything that you've already put. It just adds it to it. So that's very helpful. And this is called data validation. And this is where you can see your different drop downs that you have or that you want to work on. Now, another option for this, you have advanced options. So if I click on that, right now it's in what's called the chip style, but you can also choose the arrow style. So it's really just a preference on which one you like for your list. You can also change it to plain text, but you probably do chip or the arrow. So it's just a preference. Okay. Next one we're going to look at is conditional formatting. Conditional formatting. So for this one, I'm going to look at, I'm actually going to do the dates, because the good thing about the drop downs, you kind of get 2 for 1. Like it's kind of conditional because you have a color there whenever you pick your drop down option. So I'm going to pick one that doesn't have a drop down, which is my due dates. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight my date column here, and I'm going to go to format and conditional formatting. This is also a tool I use all the time to color code different things, so that way I can sort and filter in that way, and that's going to be my last must-have. But right now it defaults to, if the cell's not empty, make it green, okay? But we're going to get a little more specific. Since it's dates, we have different ones, like if it's empty, if it's not, text, greater than, less than, so numbers, but we're going to work with the dates. So I'm going to go ahead and start with, if the date is before, and it defaults to today, and you can change it to whatever you want, but if the date is before today, I'm going to make it green, because that means that that task should be done, it's in the past, and it's green. And I'm going to add another rule. What if the date is after today? I'm going to make that yellow, because that means I still have this coming up. I still need to work on this. Notice how it's color coding it as I add more rules. I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add one for if the date is today, and I'm going to make that magenta, because I'm like, okay, the due date's today. I have to make sure I get this done. And you can also change the order of your rules if you need to show which one's more important. And now they're color coded. So if I added more dates, it will keep formatting to that. So if I put in, say I put Christmas Eve in here, it's going to make it yellow. Say I put, oh, I forgot to put this due date was in November, I can put that there. Oops. There we go. So as you add in more information, it color codes it for you. So I really like conditional formatting. It helps with organization, and that's actually another part of my leaderboard here. I have conditional formatting for all of these. So if I have a badge that has no one's gotten that badge at this school, it they're all yellow. Whenever the numbers change, the color automatically changes with them. So I use the conditional formatting a lot for things like that. And my very last must-have are filters. So right now, what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to highlight my third row because all my data is below it. And I'm going to make sure, and I'm going to go to View, and I'm going to go to Freeze, and I'm going to freeze up to the three top rows, so that way they won't move whenever I do anything. And I'm going to add a filter. So filters under Data. So I'm going to go Data, create a filter. And so now any of these columns with my data below it, I can filter. So if I wanted to filter my subject, right now it has all 4 subjects checked. If I wanted to just look at physics, I can uncheck those. And now I'm just looking at physics. So if you just want to look at a certain part of your data, you can easily do it. And then you can easily just change it back. I personally think it's very user-friendly. It's easy to see. In the filtering, you can also sort right here. I can sort A to Z, Z to A, and actually let me go over here because you can also sort by color. So if I wanted to have all my yellows on top, I can sort and then they can be right there on top. If I wanted to filter by color, I could click yellow. I just want to see my yellow. I just want to see what's coming up, and I'm just going to focus on those. And then you can also, if you can change it back to none. And then if you wanted to just take off the filter, you can just go to Data and hit Remove Filter. So those are my 10 must-haves on Google Sheets. They can really help you be super organized. Even if you're a Microsoft believer, Google Sheets has got it going on, and it's definitely easy to use. And if you want any more information on Google Sheets, just let me know. Thank y'all so much for coming today.